we continue. And this one I was kind of curious about. Because unlike the other ones, and there's been like some differences in translation, differences in interpretation, differences in wording, this one's called Yasin. I'm pretty sure Yasin isn't, neither of those are, well, Ya maybe, but neither of those seem like English words. So maybe this is a person like Luckman. But we'll see. A Meccan surah that emphasizes the divine source of the Quran and defends it from the charge of being poetry made by man. Okay, verses 5, 6, 69, 70. Only two of them. Okay, well that's... So how many are there? I'm starting to get more and more annoyed here. Okay, so there are about 70, and 4 of these actually do that. Wonder what the other ones will have. It warns of the fate of men who are stubborn and always mock God's revelations. Yay! They are reminded of the punishment that befell earlier generations and of God's power as shown in his creation. This proves his ability to bring about the resurrection, which is emphasized at the end of the surah. Does it? Like, literally, does it? Like, what is it? Like, they are reminded of the punishment that befell earlier generation and of God's creation. This proves, and of creation, and of nature. That's what we have there. Like, God's power as shown in his creation. Like, the only reason we think that God has the power to create then is because you told me that it has been created by somebody, and this being is the person who's shared this word of his. Like, of course, we will get defense from the charge of poetry. Again, I'm hoping this one does better than the last one. But this proves his ability to bring about the resurrection. Obviously I shouldn't be criticizing the introduction too much. You can't see it, you don't know it, you don't defend it, you're not like... And obviously if it was a tough seal, then maybe you'd actually try and defend it, but this is just the author, the translator's attempt to sort of communicate to me what's happening here, or at least what he feels from his book. Maybe I'm just mocking him for being stupid, but who knows. He didn't specify where the name comes from, which I'm curious about. And there we see Yasin. So the name this time is from the 2 letters. To be fair, unique letters. No TSM, no TLM, none of those. Yasin. YS. By the wise Quran. You, Muhammad, are truly one of the messengers sent on a straight path, with a revelation from the Almighty, the Lord of Mercy, to warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, and so they are unaware. Okay, well, he truly is. I'm guessing the next part is going to prove this. The verdict has been passed against most of them, for they refuse to believe. Well, let's get to the proof. It is as if we had placed iron collars around their necks, right up to their chin, so their heads are forced up, and set barriers before and behind them, blocking their vision they cannot see. Okay, so let's get to the showing of the thing that we cannot see, at least. Like, at least try. Make some effort. It is all the same to them, whether you warn them or not. They will not believe. So you're not going to give me any argument or proof or effort. You're just going to say, well, actually, it's not even worth the effort. Didn't it say that 5 and 6? With a revelation to warn... Wait. Am I reading the wrong one? 36. Defends it from the charge of being poetry made by a man. Verses 5, 6. With a revelation to warn whose forefathers were not warned, so they weren't aware. What? This is a defense against the charge of being poetry? The statement that this is revelation to warn people whose forefathers... Like, this is a statement of intent. Like, this is like the beginning of a speech. You go like, I am sent here to warn you, I'm here with a revelation. And then you go into actually explaining, like, why do I think that? Why should you think that? No, this just keeps stating it and keeps... Apparently, that's a refutation of it being poetry. People whose forefathers were not warned, so they are unaware. Again, I shouldn't harp too much on the introduction here, but it feels like that's the level we're operating at. to warn people whose forefathers not warned, so they are unaware. The verdict has been passed, okay. Yep, okay, sure. Set barriers before us, okay. It is, like, I've said this so many times now. It's going to get tired, and this is why people don't. It's not the fear of being labeled an Islamophobe like I thought. It's actually just because it's so tedious. It's like literally saying the same argument over and over and over again. Like, oh, okay, you're saying it again. Oh, okay, you're saying it again. Oh, who would have thought that you're just a warner? Oh, you can't actually bring proof. No, you're just a warner. And oh, I'm asking for proof. That means I want to go to the hellfire. Well, no, but if you could give me that, that would at least be some proof. I was like, you would regret it if you did. And like the same thing over. Like I feel like I can. I understand why people can recite the Quran in heart, to be honest, because literally most of it is the same, slightly different word, mostly the same wording even. Or at least I don't know if it's the same wording, because maybe it's different in Arabic, but it's the same thing that's being said over and over in lieu of argument. It's in lieu of argument we get, I am telling the truth. I am here with the true revelation because because your forefathers weren't warned properly. Okay, I'm here coming to tell you true revelation because your forefathers were deceived. Oh my God, you can do that? You can just say words? No. Satan is evil and I'm telling the truth and therefore I'm not Satan. That somebody's used that argument against me. Like, how could Satan warn against himself? Well, if I say that Satan is evil and he shouldn't warn, like anyone can say anything. Words are just words. How can you not see that? But okay, it is all the same to them whether you warn them or not. They will not believe. Okay, then what a waste of time this all was. You can only warn those who will follow the Quran and hold the merciful one in awe. That's like begging the question. Like, only the people who will follow you will follow you. Only the people who follow you will follow you. Only the people who are gullible enough to take what you say on by your own word will follow you. You can warn only those who will follow the Quran and hold the merciful one in awe, though they cannot see him. Give such a people the glad news of forgiveness and a noble reward. That's a fair point, because what you're saying here is you can only convince the people who are willing to believe something even though they cannot see the evidence of the thing. You're right. You can only persuade the gullible to follow you. That is true. Only the gullible are willing to follow you, and that's what this sentence says. And this is what this sentence communicates to everyone except his own followers who think they're not gullible, who think they actually have great reasons to follow it, but they literally have no reasons, and we keep telling them that, and it's like, no, well, you would just not believe it even if you had reasons. It's like, well, that's not an excuse for not giving us reasons. But give such people the glad news of forgiveness and noble. Be nice to those people who do what you say, even those gullible people. That's how you persuade gullible people, being nice to them. That's true, actually. We shall certainly bring the dead back to life, certainly. And we record what they sent ahead of them as well as what they leave behind. We keep an account of everything in a clear record. I mean, okay, show us the record then. I mean, actually, that's a good point. I should have thought of that earlier. He's mentioned the record several times now. Well, we don't need the end. We don't need the day of punishment. Show us the record. Show us a clear record of the things we have hidden from the world. That would be a good miracle. If you can genuinely read my mind to that level, that would be actually some kind of evidence. Alas, it has yet to happen. Give them the example of the people to whose town messengers came. We sent 2 messengers, but they rejected both. Then we reinforced them with a 3rd. They said, truly we are messengers to you. They said this thing, but they answered, you are only men like ourselves. The Lord of mercy has sent nothing. You are just lying. Yeah, like... You're saying, well, how? I guess this is why. Because it's like, the religion, a holy act, a sacred act in this faith is gullibility. It, like, sacred to Islam is the ability to not think critically. The rejection of critical thinking is apparently sacred to Islam. Is it a wonder that that we're Islamophobic in the West when literal gullibility is prized? But yeah, because this is exactly what you do. That's a correct answer. Like somebody who just says, "Truly, we're messengers to you," and then, well, yeah, why can't you just be a liar? And it's like, well, truly, we are messengers to you. Well, why can't you just be a liar? Truly, we are messengers to you. We come from God. Well, wouldn't you say that even if you were just lying? Then, oh, you're just keep rejecting us for no reason. It's like, you've given us no reason to believe, so that's why we reject you. But no, no, no. Gullibility. That's sacred. But they answered, "You are only men like ourselves. The Lord of mercy has sent nothing. You are just lying." They said, "Our Lord knows what that we have been sent to you. Our duty is only to deliver the message to you." No proof. Gullibility is sacred. Okay. Well, we keep insisting that gullibility is a good thing. But they answered, "We think you are an evil omen. If you do not stop, we shall stone you and inflict a painful torment on you." The messenger said, well, I mean, much as I don't condone this, and I'm a free speech advocate. I think you have the right to lie to people and claim you're the messenger of God. And so I don't condone like trying to like punishment by death. Like, honestly, that's not just punishment by stoning. That's a bit too harsh, even. But I understand. I want to share her. I do have empathy for. Shut up now. I don't even. You're just a liar, and you keep insisting, like yelling your lies everywhere. It's like, I have some sympathy for the kinds of people who are at their wits' end with people who keep insisting, no, no, we're here to warn you. We only have a messenger. We can't prove anything, but we are here to warn you. We are definitely the messengers of God, even though we have nothing to show you. Even though the stories we tell you are about people who could show you, like Moses could show Pharaoh something. But no, no, we're just here to warn you. The messenger said, "The evil omen is within yourselves. Why do you take it as an evil omen when you are reminded of the truth? You are going too far." On that we agree. You are going too far. That I agree with. They are definitely going too far. Like, it's fair enough to criticize and to mock and ridicule and accuse of lies, accuse of madness, accuse of poetry, but stoning, that is going too far. It's like I indeed I understand, I empathize with it, but it's going too far. Okay, let's calm down. Freedom of speech, yay. But the evil omen is within yourselves, apparently. And the thing I thought about this when it first mentioned the evil omen is like, oh, maybe they indeed have some sort of wisdom. Maybe they know that this is a time of great strife. Maybe they can feel the tremors of the earthquakes that coming. Maybe there's like great storms gathering. Maybe there is an evil omen and these people are just capitalizing on this. It's like this is a time of great crisis, because that's usually when people become more religious, in times of great crisis. Unlike what's been described usually here in this book, where it kind of insists that, oh, the people in the people on the ships in the storm, they will lose their faith temporarily, but they'll be grateful again when they return to shore. But this what usually happens, what we have many examples of happening, is that when things are going really badly, then these kinds of doomsayers come out and say, look, see, I'm here to warn you, God is punishing us. And it is honestly an evil omen. It is something that usually happens in every society when things seem to be going badly. So it's kind of interesting that this is what happens, because it doesn't surprise us then that there are always warners before evil things happen or bad things happen, because people around them understand that bad things are about to happen. Like, maybe they haven't processed consciously like why bad things are to happen. Like, that's why science and technology and understanding the world around us is so useful. We can mechanically understand. We can run away from the volcanoes and the earthquakes. But like, yeah, it's when you see the doomsayers run around the streets, it's usually because things have already started. It's usually not before the punishment comes, it's while the punishment is happening. That's when these messengers run around. And these messengers have run around in every area. Like, the most faithful areas are where they run around the most, right? The secular areas don't have these messengers, and they also tend to fare a lot better in these catastrophes. But yeah, they are going too far. Stoning people just for being stupid, that's not something. Even stoning people for trying to disrupt society, and like, you can mock them instead. It's much more fun to mock them. Then from the furthest part of the city, a man came running. He said, "My people, follow the messengers. Follow them. They are not asking you to reward them, and they are rightly guided. Follow them. They're not asking for rewards. They're asking for your obedience. That's not a reward. That's just good thinking. That's just good critical like, gullibility is sacred in this. That is a reward. Following, like, power is a reward. The power to get people to do what you want is something that people strive towards, sometimes for their whole lives. So people who come to you and say, "Follow me because I'm the messenger of God," and then they say, "But actually I'm not doing this for my own sake." Well, yes, you clearly are doing this for your own. Well, I mean, you're doing this for your own. Like, sometimes people do it because they're convinced of their own mistakes or convinced of their own morals, but usually that's what's happening. They're imposing their morals. They're trying to get people to do what they think is moral. And that is power over people. That is a reward for them, because they think that this is what's good in the world. They want to enforce what's good in the world, and that is rewarding them. And to be fair, that should be a reward. Like, if you get to achieve positive change in the world, wouldn't you feel like that's a reward for you? I would. I would feel like if I managed to convince people that maybe giving women equal inheritance is a good thing, maybe not ostracizing gay people and making them hate themselves for a simple trivial fact of nature, something that God has simply allowed to happen. Like, all of these things, I think, are, like, if I can make a world a better place, I would feel rewarded. And if this happens because of the things I say, then I would feel rewarded. Indeed, even when there are people in my own chat or in my own comment sections who feel reward or tell me that their faith is stronger, even that feels like a reward, because they are engaging critically with their ideas more. And that, I think, is a better world to live in. So indeed, it is a reward. They are asking you to reward them. It's just that the reward isn't so simple as material wealth. It's sort of more cognitive. It's more cerebral than that. But oh well. Why should I not worship the one who created me? Well, it is to him that you will be returned. Why should you not worship him? Because why should you worship him? And why should you worship the one who created you? Oh, but he deserves it. And it's like, it's such a trite argument. Like, why should I, like, framing this as why should you not worship the one who created? Because it helps you. Because it helps you think critically. It helps you advance your life. It helps you advance your understanding of nature. Like, because it benefits you. We know it benefits you. It's a good thing for society if you do not worship the one who created you. Even if there really is a creator, it's clearly evidence from society, from human history, that not worshipping is good for you. But it's only in this life. And any evidence we could possibly give would be rejected because, as we've said earlier, gullibility is sacred. How could I take besides him any other gods whose intercession will not help me and who would not be able to save me if the Lord of mercy wished to harm me? Then I would clearly be in the wrong. Right. Take besides him any other gods whose intercession will not help me, and so we don't know that it would. Like, how do you know beforehand which God will help you or which God won't help you? That's what we're interested in. That's what critical thinking is all about. How do we know? How do we know? Epistemology. Do some epistemology, please. Then you would clearly be in the wrong. Yes, and then you would clearly be in the wrong. Yes, and that's why we want this. Like, it keeps repeating itself that it is a clear Quran, clearly the truth. Well, if it were clearly the truth, then we would actually have some reason to know that God would help you, or that this God would help you, not just any God, not just any creator, and not just any conception in your mind, but this one specifically. So yeah, indeed, how if you could take any on? To be fair, I don't take any other gods. I think reject all gods. Gods are unnecessary for our understanding of the world, the universe, and people. God is completely unnecessary. I have no need for that hypothesis. But indeed, if there was one, then I would be clearly wrong, right? And if indeed you show me that God can protect me and does protect me, or that God can hurt me and does hurt me, and that it is genuinely God and not something else that I have understand from mechanics, not gravity or thermodynamics or any of these other laws, but it's actually God specifically taking time out to go and say, you, screw you, right? If indeed, then I would indeed clearly be in the wrong. But of course, it's not clear, and that's the problem. I believe in your Lord, so listen to me. Listen to me, because your God is my God, so therefore you must listen to me. I have taken no other gods beside God, because I have taken no gods. So my Lord, indeed, what? Reason? Evidence? Like, are these gods? is divinity to ask for critical thinking? He was told, enter the garden. So he said, if only my people knew how my Lord has forgiven me and set me amongst the highly honored. Set me among the highly honored. After we did not send any army from heaven against his people, nor were we about to, there was just one blast, they fell down lifeless. So this guy speaking and says, he was told, enter the garden, so he said, if only my people knew how my Lord has forgiven me and set me among. Okay, so this messenger was told by God, because of him warning the people, you will have peace in paradise. And then he said to his people, if only my people knew how my Lord has forgiven me and set me among the high. Like, yeah, if only they knew. If only they knew. If only there was any clarity in this, any evidence in this, that couldn't just be imitated so easily. Like, the sorcerers of Pharaoh couldn't replicate the serpent. Like, the serpent ate their replication. I mean, they tried and they almost got there, but Moses' sorcery was better than theirs. Okay, well, that's fair. At least they had some reason for believing it. But all everyone else gets is just warnings. So if only we had gotten at least what Moses gave, at least what Pharaoh got. Like, if only there, but no, the important thing was they were punished. That's the evidence. The evidence was that they were punished, and so that's evidence that bad things happen to people, that civilizations end. That's evidence of what specifically? Of everything you've ever said, because you predicted the end of something. Because you predicted somebody would die. You predicted everything must end. So Benjamin Franklin said famously, there's only two things that are certain in life, death and taxes. Was he divinely inspired because he managed to predict that? Was he just a messenger here to warn you? Like, the ability to predict death is literally the least impressive. Like, the ability to predict, essentially, this is entropy. Like, we have a much better ability to predict and like how entropy functions. The ability to predict that some things will end. And indeed the ability to predict how life will regrow, how entropy changes, and how local entropy can go down. These things are the most fundamental aspects of existence. This is how time works. This is how we know time is happening. Entropy is increasing. So, yeah, why? If only your Lord wasn't a figment of your own imagination. After him we did not send any army, nor were we about to. There was just one blast, and they fell down lifeless. Alas for human beings. Whenever a messenger comes to them, they ridicule him. For good reason, because so many of the messengers are just liars. So many, like, how do you distinguish between somebody who is and isn't a messenger? That's what we're interested in here. Like, anyone can claim that they're coming from God. I've done so several times now just to make that point. Anyone can claim that. And it doesn't mean anything. I mean, to be clear, I also claim afterwards that I'm not, just to make you understand. But literally, the words are easy to come by. You don't need anything magical for that to happen. You don't need anything magical for human beings to say, follow me, I know the right path. That's something human beings do all the time, even when they don't know the right path. Even when they are leading us into evil, people say this. Did not Hitler say this? Did not Hitler say, I'm leading you to the right path, Germany? I know best what's good for you? Of course he did. So, was he a messenger? Well, then he was destroyed. Like, anyone can just say that. It's not... Whenever a messenger comes to them, we ridicule him because anyone can say that. Because these messengers don't actually bring any messages. They just bring their own delusions and confidence. That's what they bring. They bring confidence. They bring their assurance. They're confident that they know what's best for everything. They know the best right path. That's the only thing they bring us as a message. Their own confidence, their own certainty. And we're the ones who are being accused of being arrogant? We're not humble enough for these arrogant people? I guess so. It makes sense that the more arrogant you are, the less everyone else around you seems extremely arrogant because they're not willing to accept what you believe. Oh well. Do they not see how many generations we have destroyed before them, none of whom will ever come back to them? That's called entropy. It's the most fundamental part of nature, like I said. Everyone knows this. Even Muhammad must have known this. Even Muhammad must have known death happens. Yet all of them will be brought before us. There is a sign for them in the lifeless earth. We give it life and we produce grain from it for them to eat. Oh, I see. So there's a sign. Do we know how seeds work, right? Do we know how pollination works? We do. So what's the sign here? The earth isn't actually lifeless. That's the sign here. We have put gardens of date palms and grapes on the earth, and we have made springs of water gush out of it, so that they could eat its fruit. Well, so you say. It was not their own hands that made all of this. How can they not give thanks? I mean, at this point, it kind of is, actually. Our own hands are doing pretty much most of this. We are the ones who irrigate lands. We are the ones who bring water to it. We are the ones who sow it. We are the ones who plant the trees. Like, most of the modern world, even, like, is planted, is made, like, civilization. Most of the world is now covered in civilization, right? It's only when you go out wandering in the wilderness is this even remotely true. How can they not give thanks? I do. I give thanks to the people who built the modern world. Most of them much smarter than this. Glory be to him who created all the pairs of things that the earth produces, as well as themselves and other things they do not know about. The night is also a sign for them. We strip the daylight from it, and lo and behold, they are in darkness. Strip the day. What happens, as in case you're wondering, is that the earth rotates. It's a big sphere. You're on this earth, and it keeps rotating. And when the sun is on the other side, and so the earth, all of the thousands and thousands of miles of solid rock, kind of, it gives us shade in the same way you would have shade in the mountains. That's how night and daytime work. But apparently that's a sign, because you strip the daylight from it rather than you shield the sun from us. You rotate the earth. The sun too runs its determined course laid down for it by the Almighty. The sun isn't, like, relative to the earth. The sun isn't the one that's moving. The earth is the one that's moving. So I guess that's the problem here, is that they're living in this pre-Copernican society where they don't really understand celestial dynamics. We have determined phases for the moon until finally it becomes like an old date stock. We also know how the phases of the moon work. When the moon is the opposite side of the sun is sort of shining on it, we get full moon. When the moon is, like, And now we need 3 dimensions suddenly. But like when the moon is halfway in between that, so it's sort of on the same line as the Earth relative to the sun, you get half moon. When the sun finally comes closer and closer so that it is in between us and the sun, that's when you see new moon, no moon. We call it new moon. You can sometimes see it as a little bit of a circle. And usually this is also what happens, when you get it. I think that's what happens when you get it in the daytime. But I'm not entirely sure about that one. Citation needed. The sun cannot overtake the moon. Well, when the sun and the moon do align sometimes, and they do cross paths, because it's not actually the sun and the moon, or the moon is moving relative to it, the moon moving around the earth rotating. The days, the movement of the sun is because of the Earth's rotation, and the phases of the moon is because of the moon's rotation. So indeed, they can overtake and they can intersect, and in fact, that's what we get the moon phases from, is where the sun is positioned relative to the moon. Nor can the night outrun the day. Each floats in its own orbit. I mean, this is... Oh, I see. It's again the pre-Copernican system. Think that the sun and the moon are in each of their own circles traveling around the Earth. Obviously it's not. We've seen that it's not. We know that it's not. We know that because of how the planets move. Planets do their weird little loop-de-loops, retrograde orbits. But night cannot outrun the day. That does make sense, because night is, by definition, the absence of the day. I guess maybe this is actually even more basic. It might even be so basic that they think the moon is always out when the sun isn't out. Like, you can get these at the same time. I'm sure most of you know of solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, probably. Another sign, obviously, lunar eclipses aren't the sun and the moon interacting. It's alignment, right? Who cares? Why am I explaining astrophysics to people who live in a pre-Copernican universe? Another sign for them is that we carried their seed in the laden ark, and we have made similar things for them to ride in. No, we make the boats. Okay, let's read it. Carried their ancestors with... It is ancestors with Noah. Oh my... The sign is, you told me a story, and other people have been telling for thousands of years, and that's a sign because it's... Why are stories taken as a sign? Isn't this just proof that it's poetry? It's proof by poetry, I assume. It's like poetry is cited as evidence. Like mythologies are cited as evidence. And if that were true, then the mythologies of the Romans would be, and the Greeks, and the Norse, like all of these other mythologies are also just like... Isn't that as much a sign as the story of Noah? Or what is it, because that you've made similar things for them to ride on, and there's no ship of nails that we have in one of our mythologies, because some of the stories contain things that humans have made? Is that the sign? If we wished, we could drown them, and there would be no one to help them. They would not be saved. Okay, can you do something in between at least, please? Only by our mercy could they be reprieved to enjoy life for a while. So you say, but yet, as of yet, no proof. Yet when they are told, beware of what lies before and behind you, so that you may be given mercy. Beware of what lies before and behind you, so that you may be given mercy. Be warned. Like, if you warn somebody, you actually explain things. You don't just say... So if there's a tiger behind me, obviously I can see my own camera, so I can tell. But if there was a tiger behind me, you don't just go, be warned. You will soon suffer a terrible fate by mauling to death, like by having your innards ripped out and your blood gush everywhere. You go, look, a tiger. Right? You actually do. Like, if you say, look, a tiger, I start running and then I look back. Probably. But if you say, be warned, I am a messenger come to you from God, you will be mauled to death in moments, then I go, flip you off. Like you're when you try to warn people, you do genuinely point to real things, not just, well, you should have listened to me or else you'll be sorry. Beware what I know that you don't know. Beware that I am so much more wise than you. Why are you not humbled before me who claims to have wisdom and knowledge of things that you cannot possibly know? Beware, and my only proof is my own claim to knowledge. They ignore every single sign that comes from them from their Lord. If only had given but a single sign and not just story. Like the signs, like the word using this as signs coming to you from our Lord is, like I said, it's gullibility is sacred. It seems like, because the sign coming to you from your Lord is signs that would come from anyone else. So of course we ignore every single sign because they've been used for and against your position for thousands of years. Since way before our forebears since their civilizations rose and fell, like there have constantly been these signs, also known as stories, mythologies. That's what we call them, mythologies. There have been these signs to support every single position politically and socially and culturally, and like these signs have contradicted each other constantly. So of course we ignore them, because clearly these signs, these stories, these mythologies, let's translate it. Every single mention of a sign has been a story, a mythology. So let's just call them for what they are, instead of giving in to this word game. They ignore every single mythology that comes to them from people who claim to be holy. Yes, would you not do the same if you were born in a different society? And when they are told, give to others out of what God has provided for you, the disbelievers say to the believers, why should we feed those that God could not feed if he wanted? You must be deeply misguided. Oh, okay, I see what their argument is. It's much easier for me to understand. Like, every time it's like, so I understand why you, as believers, think that this is like, oh, see, we're just being evil, us disbelievers. Though I will point out that I have specified that I am very happy to give as much as I can, and often to people who are better off than me. Just as much as I can do good, I will try to do good. But let me explain to you what the disbelievers meant in this. The answer here is, give to others what God has provided to you. And it's like, well, you're telling me that there's this benevolent, kind God that wants us to give to others. Why couldn't he just do it himself? Isn't this a sign that there is no God? You must be deeply misguided, right? If there was a God who wanted us to give to others, then he would have done. If God wanted others to have what we have, why wouldn't he just do that? He's all powerful, almighty, most merciful, most kind, and most forgiving. But instead he gives us a lot and then says, give it to others. No, that should be dispositive proof. That should be proof that there is no God, or at least maybe not a kind God, maybe a capricious God, or a weird God, or a random God. But if indeed there is no God, but the answer then is, it doesn't mean that we don't want to give. It means that we don't think our belief that there isn't a God, or our conviction that you are wrong when you tell us that you are his messenger, that you have been confused yourself and you have convinced yourself you've created God in your own image. This conviction is why we give to others, because we know that the universe is unfair. We know the universe is unjust. We know the universe functions according to mechanics that don't care and don't need us to be kind to other people. Nature doesn't want us to be kind to other people, but we do it anyway because we want to, because we are good people, because we want to do good for the world. Nature has given us no reason to do it, but we do it anyway. That's what true goodness is. And so that when somebody says, that God wants you to give to others from what God has given you, the answer is, why doesn't God just do it himself? If there were a God, he would have, but there isn't, so we have to do it instead. That's what we are saying here. Why should we feed those? If there was a God, he would have done it already, but we gotta pull his slack. Nature isn't as nice, so we do it for nature. We are the nice ones in nature, and we can conquer this evilness that has been built into the foundations of the universe. And they say, when will this promise be fulfilled if what you say is true? So you're saying, well, so the answer, okay, so there's a gap here, right? There's a gap in the conversation. There's a gap in the conversation where Muhammad says, you will be rewarded for all that you give. And then they roll their eyes and say, and because they don't do what I do and try and explain to them, like, well, actually what we have to do good. They say, no, you will be rewarded for doing good more so. So that's why God inefficiently distributes things according to, like, the greediest people seem to get most, but like that's why God distributes things so that you will be rewarded extra for having shared your kindness. And then they roll their eyes and say, okay, when? If what you say is true, if you say there is a God, when will this happen? Give us some sign. But all they are waiting for is a single blast that will overtake them while they are still arguing with each other. Show us the record. There is apparently a clear record. God has a clear record of everything we've ever done, everything we've ever said, everything we've ever thought. Things we've kept hidden from everyone. Maybe even from ourselves. Show us that record. No, only a single blast. That's all you get. You get no proof except the final proof. Because, what have I said? What's the title of this episode? They will have no time to make bequests, nor will they have the chance to return to their own people. The trumpet will be sounded, and lo and behold, they will rush out to their Lord from their graves. They will say, alas for us, who has resurrected us from our resting places? They will be told, this is what the Lord of mercy promised, and the messengers told the truth. They will be told, definitely, this is proof, right? We're telling you that at the end, you'll be told that what we said is true. So that's why it's true now, and you should believe us now, because at the end, you'll be told it's true. Mind-boggling. I'll flip it around to you. At the end, you will be told that Valhalla is true, Odin is the rightful god, the master of all, and you for failing to believe in him, for failing to die a righteous death, you will not go to Valhalla, you will simply go to Helheim. Our message, Snorre told the truth. Like, which messengers? Which truth? Only this one? Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Perfect sense. It was just one single blast, and then, lo and behold, were all brought before us. Today no soul needs to be wronged in the least. You will only be repaid for your deeds. Oh, good. Only for our deeds, for once. Not our belief, not our words, only our deeds. Good. No notes. The people of paradise today are happily occupied. They and their spouses, seated on the couches in the shade. There they have fruit and whatever they ask for. Peace, a word from the Lord of mercy. But step aside today, you guilty ones. Children of Adam, did I not command you not to serve Satan, for he was your sworn enemy, but to serve me? This is the straight path. He has led great numbers of you astray. Did you not use your reason? Like all of these examples, you can just flip it around. Why aren't you following Satan? Why isn't you who has been led astray? Why isn't you who has been deceived? Why will you not use your reason? Does your reason only go one way? Does your reason not turn around? Is your reason not a tool you can use to examine things? A light shining upon ideas to pierce them? A tool to pick them apart? Is your reason only directional? Is your reason never to be exposed to expose yourself? Did you not use it? Is that the problem? If you were led astray, if you were standing before God, and he says you have been led astray, what would you say? So this is the fire that you were warned against. Enter it today because you went on ignoring my commands. On that day we shall seal up their mouths, but their hands will speak to us, and their feet bear witness to everything they have done. If it had been our will, we could have taken away their sight. They would have struggled to find the way, but how could they have seen it? If it had been our will, we would have paralyzed them where they stood, so they could not move forward or backward. If we extend anyone's life, we reverse his developments. What? Remember, we reverse them in development. Okay, let me figure out what that means. Human beings are born weak, reach the prime, then grow weak. Okay. Oh, I see. So the weakness of your old age. You extend, so things that always happen. Like, it's the constant listing of things that everyone knows always happens. And that would, like, why? I have no need for that hypothesis. I have no need for God to explain material, natural things. We know how entropy works. We know, to a certain extent, how aging works. That cells don't function as well. They don't replicate as well. Oh, well, time happens. That's what happens. And anyone who lives for a long time will also age more, right? The longer you live, the older you get. Oh my God, there's a sign in this, because the older you get, the older you get. It's so childlike. It's so frankly, incredibly stupid. The more I read of the Quran, the more I go like, wait, you know that this is what this book says? You've been taught that this is what your holy book says, and you still are a Muslim? Like, the more I read this, the more I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's one of the things that, to be fair to everyone, to be fair to all of my Muslim audience, this happens when I read the Bible as well. I always, like, whenever I read a religious book, I go, what the fuck is wrong with the people? Like, you're reading the same thing I am, right? You have access to the same thing I am. And this, like, what? It should lead you to the opposite conclusion. The opposite conclusion is the obvious one. I don't, like, you can literally just use, more interestingly with this book than any other book, is that you can literally use the same tools that you're told to use against everyone else, like against me. Those tools, if you use them against yourself, oh my God, it's so obvious. It's like, it's so trivially obvious. I don't even understand, like, why anyone would go like, well, because he said that we extend someone's life, we reverse his development. He pointed out something that is well known, like that aging happens, entropy happens, that time moves forward. It's like, do you not use your reason? We have not taught the prophet poetry, or could he ever have been a poet? Oh, sorry, I forgot that it's true if you say it. Sorry, I forgot about that. I mean, you clearly have. You tell them the stories. Those are poetries. Like, could he have been a poet? I don't know. Maybe. Apparently, he wrote something that no other Arab speaker could. Well, then he could have been a poet. This is a revelation. Oh my goodness. An illuminating Quran to warn anyone who is truly alive, so that God's verdict may be passed against the disbelievers. So you have not taught him poetry, according to you. Not according to God. I'm talking to this as if it's God. Muhammad says that he has not been taught poetry by God. Therefore, he couldn't have been a poet. Therefore, this isn't just poetry. This isn't just stories. This isn't just his own mythology. Because he couldn't possibly have known. And he insists that he couldn't possibly have been a poet. Do you think that maybe a poet could have said that? Do you think maybe... No. Sorry, I forgot. No poet could possibly be so humble as to pretend not to be a poet, even for great political power. I keep forgetting myself. It's so obvious once you stop thinking about it. So that God's verdict may be passed against the disbelievers. Can they not see how, among the things made by our hands, we have created livestock they control? Nope. And made them obedient. Also definitely not true. So that some can be used for riding, some for food, some for other benefits, and some for drink. Will they not give thanks? We know about the domestication of all of these animals. We know that they weren't. We found the fossils of these animals when there are no other animals of the kinds like God has apparently made for us. We made them. Humanity made them. Humanity changed them. Like, they weren't obedient. Many places in the world, they still aren't. Like, the domestication of animals in large parts of the world was a struggle. So no, in fact, if that is a sign, or if we're going to give thanks to you for what we have done, it's like it's like if you build a house and the new owner comes to you and says, "Well, aren't you grateful I paid you to build this house?" That's that's exactly what's happening. Like, God is saying, you are, and if you do, no, actually it's worse. It's worse. What they're saying is, if you don't give thanks to me for paying you to build this house, you won't get paid to build this house. So you should be grateful for me for allowing you the opportunity to make this. And can't you see how beautiful this house is? Would you even have made this house if it weren't for me? But you won't be paid unless you admit that. It's a madness. It really is. It's a wonder. No wonder people, like, I guess that's why you can, like, preemptively use the defense. Oh, they will call me mad. Yes, obviously they'll call you mad. You say mad things, and then you continue by saying, yet they have taken other gods besides God to help them. Okay, I guess it's not about me. Though these could not do so even if they called a whole army of them together. Ditto. Your God can do nothing. Your God has done nothing. Your God has literally done nothing. Literally, like, oh, he wrote the book, he inspired the book. No, Muhammad did that. Muhammad said some words, and he couldn't possibly have thought about it all of his own. Like, it's not even that impressive. And even if it were the greatest thing ever written in Arabic, well, there is always something that is the greatest thing ever written, right? Humans always, in all the other examples, like, if you take, I think Shakespeare, probably one of the greatest things written in English. Let's just think of something. Ibsen is pretty good in Norwegian. I think there's probably better, but I can't think of. So I'm not that great at Norwegian literature. I'm sorry. There's always, like, a person who wrote the best thing in a specific language. Most of the time, that doesn't mean any. That's not proof of any divinity. That's not proof that God inspired them to write the best thing. That's just proof that nobody else has done anything as great as that. Like, in anything, you would always expect that there is one thing that is the greatest thing. But no, this is proof. This, apparently, the idea that there is one thing that is the greatest thing is apparently proof that God did it, that God inspired it. God has done nothing. Your God has done nothing. The only thing that has ever been done was done by somebody pretending or claiming to be God, or claiming to be his messenger. He only did, the only thing he did was proclaim he was God's messenger over and 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 over. I want to do this 36 times, but I lost count. That's what God has done. He's done nothing except make a man speak. Do you understand how insane that is? The only thing God has ever done that we know of, that we can show, that we can prove, is make a man speak. That's the only thing that God has done. I have no need for that hypothesis. So, prophet, do not be distressed at what they say. We know what they conceal and what they reveal. If we only knew. Cannot man not see that we created him from a drop of fluid? So this is definitely semen, but also not true. You're created from both eggs and semen. Yet, lo and behold, he disputes openly, producing arguments against us, forgetting his own creation. So God, okay, so we're getting to, so I just spent so much time explaining how God has done nothing. And God says, well, actually, I made it so that you were born. What did my parents do? They did the whole thingy-majig, right? No, it was me. How they didn't know how to do it. No, their bodies know how to do it. Their genes, their genetic material. They, like, literally are my testicles knew how to do it, right? My balls have the power God has. God claiming power that exists in my testicles? Oh dear. Forgetting his own creation, indeed. He says, who can give life back to bones after they have decayed? Say, he who created them in the first place will give them life again. He has full knowledge of creation. Okay, so he says, so I'm guessing that's me. Yeah, okay. So I'm the one who's creating arguments again. Who can give life back to bones after they have decayed? Oh, that's interesting. There are things that can do that. It kind of depends on how you define it, because obviously a lot of fertilizers are made from dead material. You can have a lot of bacteria that eat dead material. Obviously, there's life in everything all the time, so it's not... So I guess I wouldn't ask that question, because I understand more than this hypothetical character Muhammad has invented. Oh, burp incoming, I think, but... Say he who created them in the first place will give them life again. He has full knowledge of every act of creation. So you say, it is he who produces fire for you out of the green tree, and lo and behold, green tree, lo and behold, and from this you kindle fire. I would have done it the other way around here. Said and first and then behold, but to each their own. So he produces fire from you out of the green tree. Oh, I guess because we probably didn't, like, the first time we made fire, we probably didn't do it with the strings and sticks and sparks and stones. We probably just took it from a fire. It's probably true. We probably even weren't properly human at this point. We were more ape-like. Is he who created the heavens and earth not able to create the likes of these people? Of course he is. He is the all-knowing creator. When he wills something to be, his way is to say, be, and it is. Again, all we have are words. All we have, like... So it's interesting here, because if you already believe it, then all of creation becomes evidence. If you already believe there was a creator, and you already believe that this creator was this one, then you look on creation and say, look how magnificent everything is. Oh, look how everything exists and I don't understand. Like, it's an appeal to stupid people, really. It's an appeal to ignorance, really. It's an appeal to, I don't understand how this works, so therefore there must have been some creator doing it. Somebody organizing it. Because that's the only kind of thing I could understand. I can understand people making things, but I can't understand bacteria breaking things down, and then other like plant spores from fungi and yeasts in the air and plant seeds that are too small for me to notice. Like, because you don't understand these things, then everything seems like it's been created ex nihilo all of the time, because we have no examples of anything being created ex nihilo. We only have examples of things being created from other things, but God is claiming credit for all of these things, even though other things, like my testicles, have more claim to credit. My testicles are more powerful than God. Can you prove otherwise? What has your God done that my testicles haven't done? I suppose technically I'm not a father, so that's a bad argument. My hands have made things. I've made this... Well, I mean, yeah, that's exactly the same. That's a good example. I have made this video series. That is exactly as much proof as God has given us. I'm sitting here saying all of these things. That's exactly as much proof as God has given us. That's exactly the same kind of proof. We're telling a load of stories. We're communicating with words, arguments, and I would argue that my arguments are more fundamental. But let's focus on this. All we have gotten as proof is the same. Like, I have created something as much as God has created something. This video series. That's the same amount of power God apparently has. So, what's going on here? Why am I as powerful as God? Why are my hands, my voice, my words, my lips, my tongue as powerful as God is? What has God ever... Like, my parents have created something greater than God. What? Show me what God has actually created, because I can show you that my parents have created me in the flesh and bone. But no, you would claim that even I am created by God, not by my parents' actions. You would deny them the power, pretend that it is actually God's power, ascribe partners to what is really there. But, well, when he wills something to be, when he, the creator, wills something to be, he says be and it is. So glory be to him, in whose hand lies control over all things. If he could only show it. It is to him that you will all be brought back. And I guess that's the only evidence I will ever have. There will be no record, there will be no demonstration of his creation, nothing except the things that we already understand are created by other means. It is really boring. Honestly. Really, really boring. Oh well. See you tomorrow.